In Pit Lane, brought to you by Online Invent, and with thanks to our Platinum Star Patreon supporters. Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of In Pit Lane. Well, as you can see, our band tonight is so big they've taken over the entire studio, but don't worry about that because we found a little hidey hole for Doc and our special guest tonight, Melbourne Sprintcar driver Brett Milburn, to join us in just a moment. They're going to be talking about the big weekend of sprint car racing, the annual Easter Sprintcar Trail, which kicks off tomorrow night at Geelong's Avalon Raceway. But right now, seeing the band are behind me, you've gone to all this trouble to set them up, you might as well hear from them. So to start off tonight's show, this is our band Mount Kujo and Change the Changes. And that was Mount Kujo and Change the Changes, and they're going to be releasing their brand new album, their second studio album, on Friday, the 29th of March at the Northcote Social Club. So we'll head out and see that. They've also got a residency coming up at the Bodrigi Brewery, which is apparently in Abbotsford and not Bodrigi. So there you go. They'll be joining us a little bit later on in the program to play us out as well. So thank you to the guys. We'll be back in with them in just a moment. But right now, after the break, we're going to use the miracle of modern technology, including Elon Musk's personal spy satellite hovering over us right now in geostationary orbit, to go across the road to Studio C, where we'll be joined by Craig, Doc Latigo, and our special guest, sprint car driver Brett Milburn, to talk about the annual Easter Sprintcar Trail that kicks off tomorrow night at Geelong's Avalon Raceway. You're watching In Pit Lane. We'll be back right after this.
Get the phone ringing for your business with website development and SEO services from Online Invent. Visit onlineinvent.com.au.
Welcome back to In Pit Lane. Well, we love it when we do some speedway stuff on In Pit Lane, whether we're at the track or in the studio, and it's even better when they're in the studio. And tonight, well, we're really rapt to have a special guest, because there's a big event coming up this weekend, starting tomorrow, in fact, anyway. And we're blessed with having Brett the Jet Milburn in the studio with me right now. And welcome aboard to In Pit Lane this week, Brett. Thanks for coming in and joining us.
Thank you very much, Doc.
You've got an illustrious career. You've won a few titles over the years, and mainly the national ones in a couple of different styles of cars. Tell us a little bit about and how long you've been racing.
Oh, look, we've been racing 30 years, so I guess in that amount of time, I suppose you want to start clocking up a few wins. But we've been lucky enough to have some great guys working on cars and had good equipment, and lucky enough to win some major events. So
they've helped you put those trophies in the cabinet as well,
for sure.
too.
I mean, you need good equipment, you need good cars, you need good engines, and you need good crew behind you too. So we've been lucky enough to have all that, and you know, when it's our night, it's been our night, and we've managed to work our way to the top, and hopefully we can keep doing it.
So let's get to the big events coming up this weekend. Of course, it's the trail this weekend. It's the Easter Trail. We're not chasing that Easter bunny around. We're chasing some dirt around and getting out. You're only running one car this weekend because you've done some double duties, which we'll get back to in a few seconds' time. But tell us a little bit about. You start off at Avalon, head over to Mount Gambier, and also Warrnambool. So a bit of travelling involved, but it's certainly worth the fruit, isn't it?
Yeah, look, Good Friday we always run at Avalon, so Avalon Raceway Friday night. Looking forward to that. That's always, if we can get a good start and hopefully get the ball rolling there and get a bit of momentum, it gives you a bit of confidence for the next two nights. So hopefully we have a good night at Avalon, and we possibly won't do Mount this year. We'll possibly do Avalon and Warrnambool, which we've done a few years, just, you know, a bit of family time in between and take a bit of a break and get the car prepped for Sunday. But Avalon's been our main focus. It's one of our home tracks, so we really enjoy going there, and hopefully we can get everything right on the night, and the boys can give us something to work with, and we're going to have a bit of fun.
You said you're only going to do two of them. Obviously, for family reasons, have some time off, and we've all got to have life experiences, some downtime. Is it also the cost of living that's biting things, you reckon? Do you think every competitor will probably maybe scale it back to two, or do you think everyone's going to go the full three this year? Because things are tough out there. It's not easy to put a vehicle out there, a car, and around some dirt and screw it up, is it? Yeah,
look, I think a lot of the big guys will do, they'll chase the whole trail, so they'll do the 3 nights because there's a bonus. I think there's a bonus 10 grand up for the overall 3-night champion, so a lot of guys will do that. Cost of racing in the last few years has probably skyrocketed, so a big thing with us now is probably tyres. Tyres are a massive thing you need, obviously, to win races, and you need good tyres, and you need to be putting new tyres on nearly every race. So if you're wearing them out twice as quick, you're obviously incurring a lot bigger costs. Your standard running costs are still probably similar. Diesel, and that's probably increased a bit, like everything has since COVID.
Inflation.
Anyway.
It's all inflation.
COVID's made a lot of that stuff a lot more expensive. But yeah, look, we'll do the two. We'll concentrate. We've run pretty much most of the shows at both Avalon and Warrnambool this year, and we've been pretty consistent at both tracks. So hopefully we can just keep that moving.
it's just along those lines at the moment. It's a little bit difficult at the moment as well too. I saw during the week one of the tracks that are out local southeast of Melbourne has only got 34 entries. Pretty times are tough as well though too. What do you think the sport needs to get together as an organisation and work together to improve things? I know they've been doing a lot of track testing with different clays and stuff like that these days, which was an experiment. Some of it's worked, some of it hasn't. But what could you think would be overall that they could do to lift the sport right now?
Look, I think there's still sprint cars are probably one of the most expensive classes, obviously. The numbers are still being really good in sprint cars. Wingless always got incredible numbers. There probably is, Easter's probably a time where there's probably a lot of different race meetings in Victoria. I saw Bairnsdale was...
Is there too many tracks?
Look, there is a lot of tracks, and I think wingless might have been programmed at 2 different tracks in Victoria. I'd have to check that, but that always has a factor. And obviously Bairnsdale is probably a fair hike for a lot of people. Wingless, I think, predominantly they come from, I'd say, the other side of the West Gate. So you're talking Geelong to Warrnambool. So that might have been some of the factor there, but any track, and probably smaller tracks like anything, they all hurt a little bit, I suppose. They don't get the crowds. They probably don't get possibly enough spectators there. And if they don't get good car counts, people aren't going to go watch them. So it's a catch-22, but it's probably the right thing to do. If they haven't got the cars, there's probably no point trying to run a show that's not really going to put on a show for the crowd. So to pull a pin and say, look, we'll concentrate on our next meeting, try and get more cars there and get more of a crowd there, I suppose that's going to be better for everyone.
The big problem I think that everyone's probably noticed in any motorsport, because as my counterpart Brett says every time we go to a racetrack, hey Doc, the reason why they're here, they all know, because they wear it on their lanyard. Motorsport is dangerous, but it's shown its ugly head a couple of times in the last couple of years, whether it be drags or speedway. Do you think the safety rules and implementations are strong enough across the board, or even the fringe tracks as well too? Because it is a hot subject.
Yeah, look, I think speedway in general, I think the safety aspect, they've implemented new roll cage designs in the last few years, which have made our roll cages a bit stronger. So I think speedway, like, I'd rather be sitting in a race car doing 200 kilometres an hour than I'd rather be sitting in a road car. Like, I think the safety is there. We wear hands device, we've got 5-point harness, and they're always looking at and trying to improve that. So whether it be, helmets getting better and lighter, we're now running concussion devices. So if we do have a rollover, if, the first thing they do is they check your concussion device. If that's gone off, well, generally you've got to get a full medical before you go back to racing, and you've got to have a minimum 2-week break, I believe it is. So like with the footy and all other sports, I think they're looking at all that now. So at the end of the day, they don't want anyone, dropping down and having serious injuries. So I think the safety's fine. Like, there's always going to be crashes, and half the people that go to the speedway want to see that. They want to see, they want to see some big rollovers. They want to see some big crashes, because that's half the excitement. From our side of things, we don't want to see them, but unfortunately, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Like you say, motor racing's dangerous. It's not a matter of if you have a crash. It's probably more of a matter of when you have a crash. And I think, as definitely been more experienced and probably doing it a lot more years, I think you can sort of see some stuff unfold in front of you. So you can sort of see in front of you and go, oh, well, hang on, these two guys are, they're probably dicing.
It's going to get ugly, yep.
You just got to have a bit of forward vision, and hopefully that keeps you out of some of them. But it's when you got 20, 24 cars all doing 200 kilometres an hour trying for the same piece of real estate, sometimes it doesn't come off.
Speaking of forward vision, no sport or motorsport or anything in general in life doesn't go unless you bring in the young brigade and you keep the interest in the sport full stop. So what's been done as far as you've seen that you can see that has been done or needs to be done to bring in these young people into either observing and watching as spectators, or as getting involved in the sport and having some fun with it as well too, behind the wheel?
Yeah, look, I think speedway, look, when I was young, there wasn't too many classes around. There wasn't much around if you're under 16 years. Now there's a lot more classes. There's a lot more. We have a quarter midget class that you can start at the age of 5 now. So really, speedway in general is really good for the youth, and obviously the youth are our future. And the young kids of today are going to be the the races tomorrow. So luckily for us and luckily for them, there's a lot more junior divisions. There's a quarter midgets, there's sedans, there's outlaw karts, there's they've now got a junior Formula 500 division, which is very similar to the open adult 500 division. It just has a bit of a restrictor in it. So like the as far as the kids go, yeah, they've got plenty of options and plenty of stepping stones to make it into the elite classes.
So a little bird told me as well, too, Brett the Jet Milburn was at the Australian Grand Prix at Friday checking out things with a few mates on the weekend just gone by. What do you think that the Speedway could take away from the Australian Grand Prix, just some of the activations or some of the concepts that they do that you could think that you could get out of that to lift up the Speedway
Probably, I mean,
game?
the corporate thing's always a massive thing. Like, as you see and as everyone sees, you go to Formula 1 Grand Prix and there's a lot of glitz and glamour. It's, you get into a corporate box, you get above the pits, it makes life a bit better. The Speedways are getting to that. Avalon's got boxes, but
so it's about
definitely
uplifting the experience as well.
Yeah, I
too.
think so. I think that helps out a lot.
Very good. And there's some great insights from Brett the Jet Milburn. Thank you very much, Brett. It's been a pleasure having you on the show tonight. Thanks for all your experience and stuff like that. I wish I could talk to you a bit longer about of your career, but for now, all the best for the weekend, for the Easter Trail, for Avalon, and as I think you said, you're going to do Warrnambool at least anyway as well too, not Mount Kujo, the 2 of the 3 legs. Have some great fun. Happy Easter, everyone, from In Pit Lane. And, we're just going to throw to a break. And after the break, Brett's back with you with the big band, Mount Kujo. So, bye from now.
Get the phone ringing for your business with website development and SEO services from Online Invent. Visit onlineinvent.com.au.
Welcome back to In Pit Lane, and thanks to Craig Gladigo and our special guest tonight, Brett Milburn. Listen, if you haven't seen Sprint Cars before, I've said this so often over the years on this program, so many times, they are one of the great value for money weekends that you're ever going to see. I mean, if you thought the Grand Prix was exciting, you've seen nothing until you have seen a sprint car in close proximity. I mean, and you talk about the noise. I mean, if you thought the Formula 1 cars were loud and sounded good, no, trust me, you ain't heard nothing yet. So that's coming up this weekend, the annual Easter Sprintcar Trail, and we will have all the news from there, plus, of course, all the news from the big Bathurst 6-hour race, which is also happening this weekend. Huge fields right across the weekend and right across the race, sort of going back to the traditional days of the Bathurst 500 with series production cars, and there's lots of top drivers there, lots of great cars, and we'll give you all of that news next week on the show as well. Incidentally, next week on the show, a special edition, a post-Easter edition of In Pit Lane. We're going to take you to the Rob Roy Hill Climb back from a couple of weeks ago and the Rob Roy Revival. We're going to catch up with some amazing characters out there and going to show you some fabulous cars that are the likes you've probably never seen before. That's coming up next week on a special post-Easter edition of In Pit Lane here on Channel 31 and, of course, the In Pit Lane YouTube channel. But right now, we've got our band tonight, Mount Kujo. It's been fabulous to have the guys and girls into there. And also, I've just got to say quickly, thank you to our RMITV student television crew who have just worked above and beyond the call of duty. All of our techs here. It's obviously, you can see it's a really big band. It's a big thing to put together. And I'm really incredibly proud of everybody for pulling this off. So until we see you next week, they're going to take us out with more music. Remember, you can see the band at the Bodrigi Brewery in Abbotsford, and also they will be releasing their second studio album, this Friday, 29th of March at the Northcote Social Club. In fact, there it is there. I will hold it up there. There you are. And it's of course called Cosmic Cliffs. But right now, they're going to take us out with their song, Mr. Pink. Ladies and gentlemen, Mount Kujo. We'll see you next week. Good night.